listening to the IELTS podcast. Learn from tutors and ex-examiners who are masters of IELTS preparation. Your host, Ben Worthington.
Hello there, IELTS podcast listeners. In this tutorial, we've got our special guest and she's going to share with us 5 amazing tips for students looking to study abroad. Before we jump into that, if this is your first time listening, let me tell you who you're listening to. You're listening to Ben Worthington. I was born and raised in England, and then I spent the last 20 years abroad. And a lot of people think I don't sound so British anymore. In fact, somebody even said, "Oh, you speak English really well." And I was like, great. But what was I doing for those last 20 years? I've been teaching English, and then I specialized in IELTS early on because I loved working with IELTS students. They're ambitious, they're smart, they're go-getters, they're action takers. But at first I was lost. So I was asking loads of professionals. I was recording interviews with them. And then I released those interviews. And then I was testing the material. And then if it worked, it went into our online courses. And fast forward to today, and we've got our AI essay checking tool that gives you a band score estimate from your essay. It can do it in about 30 seconds. So go over to IELTSPodcast.com and you can find that there. Let's move on to today's tutorial. We've got a very special guest, Fedwa. Hello there. Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
Hi, Ben. Thank you for having me. I'm doing very well, thank you. Very, very well.
Excellent. Is the weather as beautiful down south as it is up north?
Yeah, it's an amazing day today. I was struggling to work, but because you never get some sunshine, so I was like, do I work today? Do I don't work today? Do I go outside? But then I decided to work because I had really a lot to do.
Super. And up
Yeah.
north, when it's sunny, everyone takes the tops off, takes the clothes off, sit in the beer garden, and they're saying, "Oh, this could be the best country in the world if we had decent weather." Do you get the same down south? Do the Londoners say the same? Do you see that
Yeah,
with
well, I mean,
people?
yeah, when we have this kind of weather, I mean, I think the parks right now are full of people, like everyone is in the park, especially now that most of the people are working from home. So I don't know, lunchtime is in the park and everyone is happy. So yeah, I wish we could have at least half of the year with this weather, but unfortunately it's not like that.
It's not like that. It's more like half a week a year.
No, yeah, probably.
All right, Fedwa, before we jump into the tips, could you just tell us how you got into this, how you became an expert with helping students study abroad?
Yeah, so Ben, I think, I mean, I told you before, like so originally what I didn't don't tell usually is that when I was at uni studying, I studied political science, and I used to be a very young journalist in Italy. So I'm originally from Morocco. When I was 5 years old, I moved with my family to Italy and I did all my studies there. So then I went to uni and I wanted to become a journalist. Then I wrote for different newspapers, and then I moved to work in kind of politics, like politicians, and I worked for the Foreign Commission in the Italian Parliament for some time. So so after that, I don't know, I just felt like I didn't have like a kind of career, you know. So when you are like a journalist, it's the career, it's like you're a journalist. So that's it. And so I was just feeling like, okay, probably I want something else in my life. And I've decided to come to the UK to do an MBA. But by the time I was here and trying to prepare for my IELTS, some universities asked for GMAT because I was looking also to the US. So Brexit happened. So when that happened, I was wondering if it was a good idea to spend a lot of money and study in the UK when I wasn't sure if I could stay after finishing my studies. So what I've done instead is to just look for a job. And my first job was as a counselor for students that were looking to study in the UK from Middle East and North Africa. So this is how I started. So basically 10 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny how these how these opportunities and how it happens. But yeah, I think Brexit and then COVID, it turned everything upside down very quickly for a lot of people. It's been a crazy 10 years, I think, actually, in the UK. But anyway, let's jump into it. Today, we've got 5 special tips to help students for when they're considering looking at studying abroad. So what's tip number 1, please, Fedwa?
Well, I would say start planning early and research extensively because it's very important. This is like a, a big plan and an important plan because probably the student will move for the first time to a different country without his family, friends, different culture. So they really need to start planning early and try to collect as much information as they can. Um, so they are prepared and
Yeah,
also so they can make some informative decisions because sometimes we really like get some students calling us and I start asking them, okay, what is that you, oh, it doesn't matter, you just pick for me, apply for me, and I stop immediately because that's not what you want that someone else uh, chooses for you because
yeah.
you don't know what to expect when you come here.
Absolutely. That's
So
just such a, I mean, if I was working in your job and somebody said like, "Oh, you choose," that's like instant red flag. It's like I would imagine. Like, do you say we can't work together, or do you say, "Hang on a second, no, 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 I'm not going to choose. I'll send you some resources, you choose," or do you take it a step further and like, well, what are your grades at? What do you want to be? Do you take it that step further?
no, definitely not. Because so most of the students that say that are students coming from high school or they are still in high school. So I guess even depends on the culture as well. There are some students that are not really used to choose for themselves. So
Mm,
it's either their parents that they make the choice or their teachers. So they feel a bit intimidated to say, okay, I want this. So they just want you to do everything. So
oh
and
God.
to bring them the offer ready and say just go. But that's not the way I work. So of course I understand they're a bit shy at the beginning, but then we try to work closely with them, with their parents, try to make them aware about what to expect, what is out there, what is available to them.
Mm.
And then slowly, we get the student to decide, and at least on 3 or 4 universities, and then we go ahead.
Gotcha. Okay, good stuff. And what's tip number 2? And just a side note, I would strongly recommend listening to the previous tutorials we've done about studying in the UK that Fedwa and me have made. Um, have a look at those because we dive into this tip in much more detail, talking about, if possible, going to the country, looking at the campus, looking at the accommodation. So, yeah, definitely have a look, have a listen to the previous tutorials as well. Okay, sorry, Fedwa. Tip number 2, please.
Yeah, I would say this is for the student and the parents, is to plan finances carefully
Mm,
because sometimes, most of the time, students are not aware about the fees, the cost of life, um, the proof of fund required for the visa application. So this topic has to be addressed. I would say at least 1 year before they start their studies, because it's a huge amount that the student and the family has to provide. So it would be good if they can start planning and collect the information about the cost, how much it costs to rent this place or to live in this city, or how much it costs this university, what kind of scholarship I can get, health insurance, visa application, flights. So all these kind of things, the student and the family have to deal with them very early, so that they don't get until the end and they say, oh my gosh, but I didn't know that I had to provide all this money. Because that's what happens, because a lot of, well, in the past it used to happen to me. Now it doesn't happen to me anymore, but a lot of parents used to say, oh, money is not a problem. Or the student himself would say, oh, money is not an issue. But when I hear that word now, I investigate further. Because they've never been in the UK. So what is for them not an issue? It could be, I don't know, £8,000 or £7,000, and they think that that's the range for universities. But actually, it's not. It's the double of that. So this is why sometimes it's because money and fees are a bit like sensitive topics sometimes in some cultures. But I prefer to address it immediately. At least
absolutely.
I've given them like the full picture, so they know how to plan, and if they can go ahead or if they have to stop for that year and plan for the next one.
Gotcha. And Fedwa, just quick question. When the UK government asks for proof of funds, does it have to be in there do they have to prove that it's been in the bank account for like 6 months? Or do they
no,
just
not for the UK. So for the UK is 28 days. I always say 30 days to get their CAS from the university, and then they go apply for their visa. So some students, they think, okay, once I apply for the visa, I can start using again the money that I have in the bank account, but actually it's not true, because the money has to stay there at least until they get their visa, because the UKVI, they do check if you still have the right amount that you need to come and study here in the UK.
Right. Okay, because we were doing some visa applications for my wife, thanks to Brexit. And we had to prove proof of funds, but the money had to be sat there for 6 months minimum. And if we'd have, I don't know, done some research earlier, instead of like, oh, we're going to apply for a visa, let's get cracking. And it's like, oh, you've got to have the cash sitting there in the bank for 6 months, proof and statements before you even apply, and then it set the whole process back 6 months. That's why I was just wondering if they have something similar.
What kind of visa is that? Is that tier 2 or
spouse visa?
Spouse visa. Okay,
Yeah,
so you had to prove the 6 months. Yeah, the proof of funds has to come from your bank account. Okay,
exactly.
nice.
Yeah. Okay, then. Tip number 3, please.
Yeah, stay very organized. That's a very important tip, because students sometimes they just they start applications, they send them, they stop answering. They don't have their papers as well. There are some students, they start, oh, I want to start this year, I want to apply, and then they don't even have their transcript. And then when they want their transcript, it depends in which country they live, but Like if you live in Nigeria, I have some students, they go to university and they tell them, oh, we need at least 3 months to issue you with your transcript. Or the university is on strike. So
Right.
you can get your transcript and you don't know when you get your transcript. So get organized, like all your papers, they have
Yeah.
to be there available to you. Your
Yeah.
high school papers, your reference letters. So get everything there. Try to understand. So if you send applications, try to keep track of the emails that you get. Don't just
Yeah.
send an application and leave it there. It doesn't work like that, because the universities, they expect from you to answer, to attend an interview, to write again your personal statement. So yeah, so get organized.
Yeah.
Also for your visa application, there are a lot of papers that the student need. So so I know that they are not used to all this paperwork, all this stuff that they have to have and collect and do this and translate that, get affidavits, this, but you need to do it, because this is like, it takes a lot of time to get all the papers together. Also, something very important is that sometimes delays students, is that sometimes happens that it happened to me like this week. This is why I'm talking about it. So there is a student, she sent us her high school certificate. So she graduated, she has a bachelor degree, so she's coming for a master's here in the UK. And we sent all her papers to the university. The university gave her an unconditional offer. And then we were ready for her, basically for her CAS. And then the university, suddenly they realized that the date of birth on her high school certificate doesn't match the date of birth on her passport.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, and the student is in a remote area. So she's an engineer. So she works in a remote area, and she goes to her town only twice a year, every 6 months.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. So, so she needs to get an affidavit, and basically now we are stuck because she can go now to her city to do that.
Oh,
So
goodness.
yeah. So these things, and I've got in the past as well, like names, because I mean, sometimes in some countries, even in Arab countries, they have very, very long names, like Ibrahim, Muhammad, Ahmad, I don't know, 5 names or 6 names altogether. But then on their transcript, they might have the short name, and on their passport, they might have the long name. And then there also, they need to provide an affidavit. So, and or there is like like Muhammad is written with you instead of O. Somewhere is with O, somewhere is with you. And sometimes for us as well, it's very difficult. Now I'm really focusing a lot on all these details, but usually it happens always at a CAS stage, because CAS team is very picky and they spot these things. Admissions, they have a lot of volume, so they go through things quickly. But yeah, but CAS stage, we had these issues sometimes. So now we are very careful with all the names and everything. So yeah, so they need to be aware also about these things, because
Has the
they can get a visa rejection if we
yeah,
don't spot it. Yeah.
yeah, I was just going to say, has the girl with the was it the school that put her date of birth on her transcript incorrect?
Yes.
I see. And has she managed to argue her case? Like this is the school's problem. It's the school's fault. It's my problem that it's the school's fault. I only go there twice every 6 months. Can we have some leniency? Can I get an email from the school admitting that they messed
No.
up?
No,
No,
they need an affidavit
this
for
is a legal
anything.
document.
Yeah, it's a legal document that says that this person with this date of birth is the same person with this other date of birth.
Oh
So it's a
goodness.
legal document
Wow. And
from the court. Yeah.
is she working on getting this document then so she can get into you?
Well, yeah, she's trying, but she's working on a very important project because she was planning to finish the project and then travel to the UK. So now she needs to ask for days off, and apparently her manager is not really keen on giving her days off. So
Amazing.
we are trying.
Oh gosh.
We are
Yeah,
trying.
but just a side note before we move on to tip number 4 with organization. Um, two personal things that help with me is like I'm always taking pictures of like official documents just so I've got it as a backup. So like something will come through from the council or the car, I'll take a picture of it. It's just habit now. And also when I'm jumping into a certain project like this spouse visa one, I've got like a debrief, like, okay, the lawyers asked for letters of support. They asked for proof of funds. I'm working on the letter of support. It should be coming in the next couple of days, XYZ. And just literally like, Ben, this is what we've done. This is what they've asked for. This is what we're going to do. And it just gets me up to speed when I jump back into the project far, far, far quicker. And also just having that digital recollection of bills and legal documents, it's a massive, massive help until I get hacked, of course. But well, we'll deal with that when we get to it. Anyway, let's move on to, I think we're going on to tip number 4, correct?
Yeah. So the next tip from me would be to prepare mentally and emotionally to this new experience, and to stay very open mind, because so it yeah, because first of all, I mean, you really need to understand where is that you are going. What kind of culture will you find there? I had like last year someone going to study in Canada, Montreal. The student is from Morocco, so we did everything, and he spent like he did GCSE here in the UK, so he spent 3 years in the UK. Then he said, I want to change, I want to go to Canada. So we sent him to study in Canada. After not even 4 months, probably, he called his dad and he said, yeah, he came back home. Sorry, he came back home in December, home, and he told his dad, I'm not going back to Canada.
Oh
And
gosh.
he was like, why? What happened? He said, no, it's too cold for me.
Oh no.
Like,
Poor
and
guy, I
I
could
can't
understand.
bear that. He was not even going to school some days because for him it was too cold. So the dad called me and he was like, okay, Fedwa, you need to save me here because it's December, and he's telling me now that he doesn't want to go to go back to study in Canada. So what can we do? So I really, that holiday, Christmas holiday, I didn't like have one day off because I worked like crazy really to get him into a school so that he can start in January, because the dad didn't
Wow.
want him to stay home. He wanted him to start like immediately and go to school, so to study. So, and he wanted to come back to the UK because he liked the country, the culture. So this is why I'm saying it's very important. If you are like a city girl, I wouldn't, and you can't leave without going out and go shopping and do all the activities that you do, then don't pick a university in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, because
yeah,
I had different cases of students that after 2-3 months they call me, here they close at 5 p.m. There is nothing. What I'm gonna do? And I'm like, okay. So
yeah,
so it's important to understand where is that you are coming, where you will spend either 1 year or 3-4 years of your life. So it's very important to check if there is like a small community from your country, if that's important for you,
yeah.
if
Good
they
point.
provide the food that you have back home, if you are someone that is very picky and really wants, I don't know, halal food. Well, thank God here in the UK halal food is almost everywhere, but you are from Ghana and you want fufu, and which I discovered because one of my students, he was in hospital and he asked me, can you bring me some fufu? And I was like, what is fufu? Sorry. I had no
Fine
clue
food for you.
about fufu. And then I learned what is fufu. So yeah, it's very important to
Yeah,
understand where you are coming.
yeah, that's a
Uh,
great tip about the city as well. Because I mean, you might go to, I don't know, Manchester University, and you might think that's going to be in the center, and they do have some campuses in the center, but they have some spread out way, way away from the center. And if you've got accommodation on the campus, then you're not going to get sort of like that city experience that you might have imagined. So yeah, it goes back to your first one of just like really doing some thorough, proper research. So that's a quality tip. And where did your Moroccan who was too cold in Canada, did you send him to, did he go to a university in England in the end?
in London, yeah.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
we managed to find him a university in London. Yeah, but now he's happy because yeah, he's very happy actually because he went to this university. He wasn't convinced 100%, and the dad told him, okay, just go. Then when you get there, you can move for the second year to another university. But after 2 months, yeah, he started in January, February. Yeah, I called him in March and I was like, okay, so what is that? Do you want to still change? And he was like, no, 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 no. I made friends. I'm okay here. Thank you very much. I'm not moving. I'm not going anywhere. So, and I was happy because, I mean, when you find like a place for a student that they like, that's my success story. So when they do well, they do their exams.
Yeah.
So that's what we all want. Um, but yeah, so I really advise all the students. Also, something else very important. A lot of students they don't check accommodation, the cost of accommodation, and most of them they think they will come and live by themselves, so
Mm,
that they will be able to get into have a studio or a flat, because of course in their countries like rent is so cheap, so they think they will do the same here in the UK. So just be ready. You won't, I mean, unless your parents are very 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 rich, but 90% of the students, they have either to go in university accommodation or they have to share a flat with other people.
right. Okay.
So yeah, just get mentally ready to share the kitchen, to share the bathroom, all this kind of thing. So it's very important.
Absolutely. And then quickly, because we're just running out of time, tip number 5.
Yeah, well, I would say stay safe and also healthy. Try to avoid places that you're not familiar with.
Mm,
Try to avoid uh, to stay late by yourself
mhm.
if you are not familiar with the area, or um, if you are coming back from somewhere, don't come back by yourself, come back with someone else, at least at the beginning, because
Yeah.
you never know. Also get a GP as soon as possible when you arrive in the UK.
Hmm.
Yeah, get like understand what is the closest GP, understand what are the services that the university can offer in terms of health and well-being as well. And yeah, and try to stay with other students, try to make friends so you don't feel homesick.
Yeah, that's great advice, especially getting your GP and just going through like, okay, if I've got this emergency, what am I going to do? Because when you're actually in the emergency, it's obviously you don't have that much time to start your research. But if you've done it before and you can just quickly ring the GP and book yourself in for an appointment and you know where it is already, it makes it
Yeah.
10 times easier and less stressful. So yeah, that's absolutely solid advice there. So thank you very much, Fedwa. And if you are serious about studying in the UK or abroad elsewhere, then you can go to IELTSPodcast.com/UK. And there you'll be able to get all these tutorials that we've been sharing about studying abroad. And there's a quick questionnaire there where it'll take about 2 minutes and you can fill that in, ask some questions as well, and we'll get right back to you trying to help you. So that's at IELTSpodcast.com/UK. And with that, we're going to wrap it up. And I'd just like to remind students that when they go to IELTSpodcast.com, you can sign up there and you'll get an invitation to use our AI essay checking tool, which is completely free. You can submit as many essays as you want. And if you need more detailed feedback to improve faster, then you can go and upgrade to the premium one. We've got a lot of students using that. We're getting a lot of thank you emails. So go over to IELTSpodcast.com, sign up and use that resource. It's completely free. It's a gift from us to you. So good luck with your IELTS preparation. And anything else, Fedwa, before we wrap this up?
Well, I mean, I just advise everyone to be responsible and to do a lot of research. And if you need help, just ask for help. Don't be shy. Ask anyone. Ask even the university. They have student ambassadors that they can um, answer your questions, and ask any question you feel you need answers to.
Solid. Good. Great advice there. Great advice. Okay. Thank you very much for listening and have a super day and good luck with your IELTS preparation.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.